Good day everyone, my name is Sai Siddharth. Hope you're all doing great. Today I'm doing a video that I want to do for a very long time. A character design session. But first, if you're new here, welcome. Here I'll be doing drawing tutorials and videos related to art. Okay, well, what's a character design session? Well, the name says it all. I'm going to be designing a character, but I have no idea who or what the character is. So it is all completely random. Now how this is going to go is, I have 4 boxes. The first one being the setting. Where in time or history or genre is this character taking place? Is it fantasy or maybe dystopian, etc.? And then the next one is the race. What kind of character? A human or an elf or even a demon, etc. And from there we move on to the vocation or the job. Is he or she a magician or a king or assassin, etc. And then finally is the character attribute. What is special or unique about this character? Do they have an animal companion, or maybe the character has 2 heads? Probably like that. Let's pick our characters. Alright, the first ever character that we're gonna be designing. So the genre is fantasy. Okay, that's gonna be great. And the race is an elf. Okay, not so bad. And the vocation is a chef. Okay, couldn't be the worst. Who carries a huge blaster. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Now the first thing I'm going to do is not draw, but write a story for our character. Cause story is always king. If I want to make a character for you to believe, then the character should have a really good story. I literally spent the entire first day writing a story, and I hope you enjoy it. A long time ago, there were 2 brothers, Athidel and Galadon. Both of them treasured designing ships. Galadon was specialized in steampunk designs, while Athidel knew every magic spell. It was their thirst to become the best shipwright in the universe. Many decades passed. Both of them created many ships. People from all over the world came to travel in these ships, not to get to some place, but purely for its extravagance. One day, both the brothers wanted to do the unthinkable, to create a ship that could fly and be home for millions of creatures, from fairies to goblins. They worked on it for many decades, day in and day out. A still and calm morning, out of all the places came a voice. It is done! The name was Descrion, a ship as big as a building and luxurious. All the creatures gathered to see it. The 2 brothers had finally accomplished what they had set out to do. Everything was going very well until one day, Galadon betrayed Athidel. In the middle of the night, he grasped whatever he required and climbed on board the ship. He stole the vessel for himself and disappeared. Athidel was devastated. And a few years later, he received a note saying that his brother had gone missing and the ship was now in a port near the Arctic Circle. Athidel went there and retrieved the ship. The ship was passed on by many generations, and as the years passed, the rich history of the ship and the story of the ship too had been forgotten. Present day. The ship at this time, with the cutting-edge technology in the world, was considered just as some other ship. But over the years, many creatures joined the crew. From dwarves, ogres, elves, goblins, angels to even vampires. The ship, passed on through many generations, was now in the safe hands of Alnovinau. Alnovinau was one of the most kind and humble captains of the ship. But he didn't know that he was the heir to Athidel. Not only was Alvinau a fantastic chef who could make a delicious dish with whichever ingredients he has, he also was a master inventor. He invented crazy gadgets like a flamethrower that could roast any food to a flawless level, but his most valued invention was that of a blaster that had all the ingredients that he would ever need to create a dish. And the blaster would never run out of ingredients. Not only was it a great cooking tool, it was also a great weapon. he was only one of the many thousands of elves who were in the cooking depot. And elves were only one of the thousands of different creatures who were in the cooking depot. This ship, as I said, has an infinite number of creatures and infinite space. After all, it is enchanted. Once, in a quiet night, thud! A huge blast of energy landed on the ship. Panic was one that was very common in this situation. Every person running to the battle station, clutching every weapon from axes to swords. A fighter plane was approaching the vessel. The dwarves were the defense system. They started shooting at the plane, but nothing happened. The fighter plane was much more advanced. The plane started to create a gigantic beam. It was so bright and powerful. And when all hope was lost, Alvin now steps in and uses the blaster and finally neutralizes the beam. The plane turned around and came for the second round. But Alnovinov didn't wait for the beam. He used the blaster and shot the plane. The plane was completely obliterated. It was coming down fast on the ship. The chef used the blaster and created a huge jelly and covered the ship. The plane managed to pierce but didn't get through the jelly. After a few minutes, it dissolved and the crew of the ship surrounded the plane. A dwarf removed the cockpit, and it was to the crew's surprise that there was no pilot. There was nothing, none, but a note saying, "I'll know now, the ship is not only yours, it's also mine. Come to the following coordinate if you don't want the ship broken." Who was it? Where did the plane come from? Who's the other owner of the ship? Why does the person want this ship so much? It was all a mystery. But there was only one thing to do for Al Novinov, to go to the coordinate and find out who attacked the plane, so that his crew don't become refugees. With more than 3 days of planning, sketching out a story, doing some brainstorm sketching, I'm really happy with the outcome. As I said, a character design really comes to life with a story, as the story really sets a context for the character. Now, my story isn't finished yet, cause if I gave it a conclusion, it will go more than 15 minutes. And that isn't something that I want to do. Maybe in a future video I'll complete it, who knows. Now comes the final phase of our character design session. It's time to make a standalone representation of our character. Let's go! Now I had multiple ideas for drawing Al Novinov, whether fat or thin or maybe with different facial features. But I really liked the idea of having a fat chef. But then I also had the conflict that it was a bit too reminiscent of Gustav from Ratatouille. But then I realized that if I just made some minor changes in the facial features, then it would not look like Gustav. Plus, since this is a fantasy setting, I made him a bit slim. Alright, time for the inking. I used various fine liner sizes to make the character pop, making the prominent parts such as the blaster, cape and dress, etc. with a heavier line. Just with some line weight variation, the character looks more three-dimensional. It's time for coloring. I photocopied the image multiple times so that I wasn't completely in the dark while coloring. I tested my colors in a photocopied paper and then came back to the artwork to color it. Now chefs have a white dress. If I just added white to their character, then the image would be very blank. So I thought of making the blaster glow. So the blue glow from the blaster will fall on the chef. I colored the inside of the cape with a gradient of black to red, just to have some contrasting colors. I added some cooking utensils like a knife and a pair of pans, cause he would need multiple tools to win a fight. The drawing is done. Enjoy the reveal. This is it everyone, the first ever character design session. I really hope you enjoyed this video and I had tons of fun doing this. There is something really satisfying of throwing ourselves in the deep end and coming out with the outcome that we really like. And yeah, I love the result and I hope you did too. If you did, please hit the like button, subscribe and turn on post notification, because I'm sure that there will be lots and lots more of character design sessions to come. And until next time, I'll see you later.